welcome everyone to another tutorial. This one is on MPF widgets. Widgets are like short animations that play over your screen. So you might have your base animation going or video or whatever, but then maybe you hit a jackpot shot and you want something to pop up on the screen and say jackpot. So let's get into that start to finish. This is one of the things about Godot that I find not that intuitive. So not only am I recording this for you, but I'm recording it for myself so I can go back and look at this. So here we go. All right, first of all, we'll open up a new project or a new scene in Godot. It's going to want to know what kind of scene we want it to be, and we can come up. If you search MPF, all your MPF things are here, obviously. We're going to do an MPF widget. It's off to the side because I've used it recently. One thing I like to do always in everything in my Godot display stuff is to come here and get rid of the ordering. I like to manually put in the ordering. This is basically, if you think about layers, how you layer things on top of other things. If you do relative, it basically adds everything together. So you would be, if you had layer 2, but it's on top of something that's designated layer 1, then this would actually act as layer 3. I think that's confusing and dumb, so I always turn that off, and then I set my layer to what I think it should be. I have a guide for myself, and my base widgets, meaning my normal widgets that aren't going on top of full screen video, is sitting here at the z-index of 2. So that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is always make the layout the size that my screen is. My display screen has kind of a weird proportion, so I always do that mostly so that when I'm working in here I can see what the animation looks like relative to the full-size screen. So now that I have that, you can see here, here's my full-size screen is that box. Let's go ahead and make a child node. We are going to do a sprite 2D animation. So we're going to do a sprite 2D and then another child node that is the animation player. All right, so sprite 2D is basically any 2D image. I'm going to come in here and just load. I have a little firework thing that I'm going to do. So let's load from my images. Let's find that firework. Firework is here. And the firework is huge. I probably wouldn't put this into my game actually because of how huge this thing is. But whatever. For right now I have a transparent firework. That's all that matters for this tutorial. Let's size him down so he makes sense in our display. Let's say, okay, I want the firework to just pop up in the middle of the screen. So the firework exists now on that sprite 2D. You can come down then to the animation player and come down here to where it says animation, and you'll create a new animation. You can name it or you cannot, doesn't matter. Let's call this firework blue. Okay. And then you see it gives you a 1 second timeline on your animation. You can adjust that here. So let's say I want it to be 1.5. Change that there. And then this is allows it to autoplay. You're going to want to click that. So click that so that when MPF says play the animation, it will actually play. So you want that auto player checked. If you don't do that, a lot of times I'm like, why isn't my animation working? This is why. And then now we have kind of like an animation timeline down here. We can add tracks. So far, everything I've done is just under the property track. And then, so you select that property. Then it's asking you, what do you want to animate? I want to animate that firework, which is on the Sprite 2D. And then it's going to say, what kind of animation do you want to do? Let's do one that I use almost, very often, is the self-modulate. I'll show you what that does. Very basically. So now you see you have your self-modulate line here. If you right-click, you can insert a key. And let's do that again. You know what? Let's do 3 of them. So we have these 3 key points. Key points are basically starting and finishing points for your animation. So whatever you're trying to manipulate, whether that's the size or the rotation or whatever, you need key points to tell the animation player how fast you want those things to be affected. So we're going to start. So right now, let's highlight this first key point. And then over here on the right, you can change this. So basically, this is affecting the opacity of the image. So you can see as I scroll here, sorry, because that image is so big, it's being a little laggy. So I won't do that so much. Looks like you can also change colors, mess with RGB stuff in this. But I usually make it for appearing and disappearing things. So let's make that end one also transparent. And then if you come here and preview play, you see the firework pops up and then disappears. Great. But I want it to kind of look more like a real firework, so I'm going to make it start small and grow into the size as it gets brighter. So, same thing, come down here, add a track. Asking you again what you want to animate. I want to animate that same 2D sprite. And then let's look through the options and find scale. Scale meaning size. So same thing, add your key points. Let's say I want it to be as big. I want it to be fully big and fully visible at the same time, so I add that key point right around there. And then let's say I want it to be super small. Right when it gets there. So this is already the size that it was. So that's the size I want it right there. But if I select this one, let's come, and these are locked together so that they will scale together. But let's make this basically come from nothing. So let's go 0.001, and then or I guess you can just put in 0. So now let's watch what that looks like. See? Wow, look at that. So it grows, it becomes more opaque, and then it disappears. And let's say it's fading not as quickly as I want it to. You can just move this key point closer, and it'll fade faster. Right? Those are the basics of how you do that stuff. You can also do, just for fun, let's do a rotation. Again, same, I'm animating the same thing. Let's come down, let's say rotation. Again, insert key points. And obviously this is going to look less good, but I'm just doing it for example. So if you come to this first key point, you see that the value of the rotation is 0 degrees. Let's change the second key point. Let's say we want it to rotate 360 degrees in just like that, basically 1 second. And then we can play that, see what it looks like. Oh, it's crazy, right? And then you say, oh, I didn't actually like that. You can delete it right there. Also, if for some reason you want this to loop, this button right here, you can change that to looping. So it'll just play over and over again until you tell it to stop with MPF. But there's that. I usually don't do that. There's also this rebounding thing, right? So let's say this didn't exist. And now we change it to the rebounding. So it's like looping, except instead of playing from the beginning over and over, it plays beginning to end, end to beginning. And it'll look like this. Whoa. Whoa, right? So those things are super helpful. Yeah, play around with stuff, make cool stuff, be rad. Oh, let's just show you the MPF part of it real quick. So let's stop this. Get out of that. I'm just going to show you my current a mode I have in my current code, just to display or show you how to do the basics of this as well. Right, so I've got my widget player here in my code, widget player. The first line is what widget or what event you want to trigger your widget to play. So this is the Sean intro has stopped. Starts playing my widget called Spiral Eyes. And then that one is continuous. So there is that's the whole thing. No more commands than that. On this next one, you see the event is Sean center drop unlit hit. It plays my widget called Pent Left. It's a pentagram. Pentagram left, action play, and then expire at 750. So expire, if you don't put this expire on it, it will just stay on, right? So it'll play the animation, and then it will stay there. So if we had, say, for example, say for example, this animation actually ended at 1 second, and we just did a 1 second that. So it just looked like that. Let's turn off the rebounding. So the rebounding goes away. So it would just play this, and then a firework would just stay there forever, right? And if you don't want that, then what you can do in MPF is, well, you can do what we had before, where it also fades away, and then you don't have looping on. Or if you don't want to mess with that, you just play the animation. So this animation is a 1 second animation. Then in your code, you could say expire at 1 second. I have that animation is 3/4 of a second, so 750 milliseconds. And those are the basics. And then different events can trigger different displays. So I've got a widget that is a pentagram that pops up on the left. I have one that pops up in the center. And I have one pops up on the right. Basically, if you hit a center shot, it'll pop up in the center. If you hit a left shot, it'll pop up in the left. I think it makes it a little more dynamic and is super easy to do. I think that's it. It wasn't that. Oh, and then let's just show you, just in case, this is, again, for future me, this is unsaved, so let's save the scene as, and then make sure you're saving this in your widgets folder, because if you don't put it in the widgets folder, it's not going to find it. But let's call this firework. And then it's in my widgets folder, so make sure that's right. And then when I go to my MPF, it should be really easy to play the animation. And that's it. So hopefully that's helpful. I will probably reference this myself in the future, because every time I make a widget, I have to relearn how to make a widget. So hope that helps. See you on the next one. Keep your heads up. Stay strong. Be beautiful. Okay, bye.